So I had another interesting dream the other night. My husband and I, we went to a kind of an older country church. It was just a rectangle building, short, squatty rectangle building with a squatty rectangle, triangular roof, and it was tucked into some dense trees. You couldn't see anything that was behind it. There was a little circle, half moon drive in front of it, and then to the side there was a gravel road that wasn't used very often, and you could see the grass that was growing up in between like the tire marks. So it had been there a while, but not used very often. And so we go inside, and everybody's kind of doing the same old thing, a regular church service, a normal service, and everybody's friendly. I went to go help after service and kind of clean up the kitchen, and I looked out a window, and there's like a whole city back there. Like the buildings that are back there, they're older. Like you don't even see anything like that anymore. They were from a different era with brickwork and fancy appendages that protruded from the tops of it, and they were actually rather beautiful. There wasn't anything ornate to it, but they were beautiful. And I saw people meandering in and out of buildings and walking up and down the street, and it was almost as if this place was in like another dimension. It was strange. It's like, but so I mentioned something about it. I'm like, what is that back there? There's like a whole city back there. How come like nobody knows about it? There's like nothing up here, and nobody could really answer anything for them. It's like they kind of knew, but it's like, nah, it's like they didn't really care. So, excuse myself, I had to go to the bathroom, and down the hall, well, the church, this little country church, was tucked into some dense trees. Well, as I went down the hallway, it seemed like the hallway was just really, really long, and there was rooms on each side of the hall. There were big rooms, and I realized that these rooms were rented out by different churches and different denominations to have their services in it. And I could see like a preacher that was preparing for his sermon, and the different denominations, and I'm looking from side to side, and by this time I forgot I had to go to the bathroom. I'm just like really curious, because down this hallway it was kind of fresh and country feel up in the beginning of the church, but now as I'm getting deeper and deeper, it's getting more and more kind of fancy, a little bit more ornate. The denominate I could tell there's different denominations in each room, and I'm just really curious about this. Forget I have to go to the bathroom. I get to the end, and I walk back, and it's time to go. So my husband and I leave, and just as we were about to leave, I look to the side at that little side road, and I'm like, I just gotta see what's in there. And my husband goes, no, we don't have time for that. I'm like, no, just out of curiosity, I just really want to go look, see what's back there. Um, so I go around to the side of the building. I follow that little gravel road that's hardly ever used, and there's that city back there that I saw through the window that nobody paid attention to. And my husband and I end up helping, like, clean up some stuff. We end up aiding in some help work, doing some like manual labor with something. And I get invited to go into this longer rectangle shaped concrete type building. It's older. You can tell it just got like adopted to be used for a meeting place. And I go inside, and I hear praising and worshiping and joy, and people that are greeting me going, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. And I see like a former pastor's wife. I see somebody that I had been on the worship team with. I'm seeing people from all different walks of life, people that I didn't even know were Christians, that I would have assumed weren't Christians. Different walks, like jazz players. I mean, it was just really interesting. It was a mosaic of different types of people, and they're all like rejoicing and shaking each other's hands and just loving to see each other. We're so glad you're here, Kelly. Welcome. And in my spirit, I knew that these people all knew the same thing I did. They were free from the religious traditions that denominations had set, and they had broke free, and they all could see the same stuff. They all knew the same deceptions that had been going on all this time, and like God. So then I knew, like, right before I woke up, I heard it's the 12 o'clock hour. I knew it was the 12 o'clock hour. Like, I showed up in that building at the 12 o'clock hour, and I knew there was some significance with the 12 o'clock hour. And I've been hearing a lot of prophetic stuff going on right now about the 11th hour. We're in the 11th hour. In the stream, I heard the 12 o'clock hour. And so look back at that other church that had all those, like, started out a little family church, but they were so kind of blah. and they were just doing the same old. There was no joy. And as I went down the halls, I saw all the different rooms in the body of Christ, the church, all the different rooms that had been rented to do their different denominations, different traditions of men. And they were so bored. And I mean, like, going down that hallway, it was dated, almost like the 1970s. Like you could smell like the old kind of stale smell of a building. But it was fancy and it was clean. It had been taken care of. Um, and so God is calling these people to come out of traditions. Come out of traditions. And there was something significant about that 12 o'clock hour.